man, look at all the stuff we got to do to figure this out. But hey, I didn't say it was going to be totally easy, did I? All right, take this. And anybody else is going to have to do the same thing, by the way. If you're paying somebody, they got to go through the same thought process. Okay, remember, this is going to be over that way. So if I were to put this right like that, the TV is going to be sticking over to the left even further. I want that TV to stick over to the right as far as possible. Okay? So first off, I'm going to I would take this and swivel it over this way, like that. Okay? Now I've already got that over that far, right? Then I'm going to have to look at this and see. Remember, I got to bolt it at the top and the bottom, and in the diagram it said to do that within this amount. But maybe I could slide it over even further. So I'm going to have to look at that too and make a judgment call on that. I guess I better look at those brackets. In fact, you know, I think this can slide over like that. So I've got to figure out exactly where I want to put this. Then I've got to look at this and see on the back side of the TV where I want that to be slid, because ultimately it would be nice for me not only to cover the right side, but I also want to cover the left side of the TV too. You know what I mean? So I got some more measuring to do, don't I? I'm going to have to bolt in here somewhere, and that's about where the center of the TV is supposed to be. So I've got this pushed in here, and there's lots of slides on here, so I can slide this anywhere between this area. So that's pretty good. There's 2 screws here, and it's got this little rod here. You put this backing piece, you put that on there. It's got threads on there, and you tighten it up. And I'm not going to put that yet, but see, I can slide this around wherever I want. And then it stops, and then if I want to slide it to the next bit, I have to take the screws out and slide it over. But here's what I'm looking at, okay? That's where it's going to hook onto the back of the TV. That is almost in the center. So if I take the TV slide over here, and if I put that right in the center, you know, I can slide that over about the center. Then I can measure over to the edge of the TV, and I gotta remember this flips over the other way, so that right hand side is actually the left side of the TV when you're facing it. Does that make sense? I want to measure that. I got about 20 and a half and about 20 and a half over here or so. Okay, so I think this is going to work out just fine. 20 and a half. All right. So if I had the TV right there, in fact, it needs to be slid over just a little bit one way or another. If I were to say that is the center, 20 and a half, that's going to cover this whole edge over here, because I wanted to make sure this was going to stick out behind the TV. Now the bottom, the right hand edge is going to be way over that way, which is fine. That's beautiful. That way, when somebody's walking in, they don't even see the mounting bracket. The last thing you want is put that up there, and then you're walking around and somebody says, "Oh yeah, your TV looks great," and the bracket's sticking out on the right hand side because you should have moved it over to the left, or you should have moved it over to the right. You know, anything like that. So because this is such a big TV, and we can slide it back and forth in that slide there, and we've got capabilities here to slide it too, you can do just about anything with this TV. If this was a smaller TV, obviously you don't have as much capabilities as you do with the bigger TVs, so we're in luck. So we're going to bolt this into place now, these little brackets. I tricked you. If you thought, hey, wait a second, you shouldn't do that, you're right. We're we're not going to do that yet because it's going to make it harder to hold this up to the wall, right? So I don't want this slide thing here at all. This is the only piece I want to work with when I bolt that up to the wall. I like to put these bolts in. I pre-drilled a hole and I made sure I got the right size drill bit. On the directions it even tells you what size drill bit to use for a pilot hole. And then I just put these in all the way and then I'll back them out and get ready to install my bracket. That way when I hold the bracket up here I can just take that with my hands and kind of twist it in a little bit until it grabs and then I can start. A lot easier to do that, okay? Kind of cleans your hole out, and if you got a knot in there or something like that, hopefully you can get that out of there. Or if it's going so tight, maybe you use the wrong size drill bit, and you don't want to find that out after you're trying to hold this up here and jostle it into place. And because if you don't put in the right size drill bit for the pilot hole, and if there's a knot in there or a really hard piece of wood that you're putting it in, your stud's 30 years old or whatever, you may think, oh, I'll just ram it in there. And it gets tighter and tighter and you think, I'll just keep doing that with the ratchet. And believe it or not, and I've done it, you can twist the head right off the bolt. Once you do that, now you're kind of messed up, especially if you can't maneuver this around. Or you may have to raise this up a little bit and drill some new holes, get another lag bolt somewhere and all that. So be careful when you're putting those in. Make sure you put this facing up, that the top is at the top. You know, so this one's not really heavy. If this was a whole mount assembly, it'd be a lot heavier. But I can just hold it up there and I put a pencil line level on here so I can line that up like that when I get ready. And now, I can just kind of twist it in through the sheetrock and just get it kind of started into the wood. Just with my finger, because I cleaned it out and tightened it up all the way first, okay? Now I can go ahead and maybe put this one in up here. And I'll just get it just so it's started into the wood. You know, now I can go ahead and put my other ones and then I can figure out where this goes. Because remember, I got this is on a little slide, just a little bit on here on both ends. So I get the bolts up there, we'll figure out what to do here. Now, were you watching what I was doing? If you said, hey, what about the washer, Joe? You are absolutely correct. You know, don't forget to put your washers on. That's going to help hold the bracket a little better, you know? Read your directions and make sure you get everything done the right way. Now, did I do that on purpose or did I just forget? I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, don't forget your washers on all the bolts. Before I bolt this securely to the wall, let's think about this for a second. I've got a slide notch here that I can slide this to the right that far or slide it to the left about the same distance. Okay? I want to be careful because I don't want to mark up the wall. Now, off to that side is the dining room. Here's the center. This is the center of where the TV is going to be. All right? Now, we've already made the determination that if we line this up center to center, the TV is still going to cover over here, and it's going to end up coming over this way further, and that's good because I'd rather have the bracket assembly not showing as somebody comes walking in from the main front door, because this TV is going to be sticking out away from the wall just a little bit, you know. And if they tilt it or anything like that, there could be a big gap here so that you could see back in here. But when they look back inside, I want them to kind of see sheetrock rather than this whole frame sticking way over here. That's why we put it off to the left. But now I got to cheat the TV over to the right for this bracket. Does that make sense? So here's the center. I could do it right there, but I'm going to cheat it to the right just a little bit. Now I'll go ahead and bolt it. And I see where my center line mark is, and I'm just going to put it up here just for a reference. And that tells me where the center of the TV is. Because I have that line down here at the bottom for my level, I can raise this up right on my line and center down. Now what happens if you got the bolts in here and for some reason, no matter what you do after you pre-drilled your holes and line that up, this bracket assembly is not perfectly level. You know, if you get it close, that's all you need. Don't sweat it out if you don't get it perfect, because once we install the TV and get it on there, there's an adjustment on the back of that, and we can jockey that back and forth where it's perfect. Now, how tight is tight on these? You just want to go snug. You don't want to overdo it because, like I said, you could twist that head right off. Lag bolts will do that. So you just want it snug and then do it just a hair more, not very far, okay? You got 4 of them up here. The most important ones, I'd say, are these top ones. Because if anything ever did happen, this is going to sag off the wall. This bottom's not going to lift before the top lifts. You know what I mean? You want to be extra careful as you're tightening these down. I mean, worst case scenario, if you were to break off one of these bottom ones, would it still hold? Yeah, because it's up at the top. And this top is never going to lift out if you got that all tight, you know? Just giving you some things to think about. So I got it snug there. I'm just going to do just a hair and hold my breath as I do that. Many years ago, I didn't know that little secret, and I twisted it right off. I thought there's no way I'm going to do that. It's just going to get tighter, and I don't think it's tight all the way because I can keep turning it. And the reason why I could keep turning it just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more was because I was ripping it right off of the top. Okay? All right. That sucker's snug. I could hang off of that. I'm going to put this up there. Now, theory has it, if I fit it underneath that top ledge, it should be able to stay up there by itself. So if I kind of fit it up over that first and then set it down, I can let go. If you had this upside down, that's not going to work. And you want that like that, okay? Now, I've got to decide exactly where I want this. Now see, that's where the center of the TV is. Look at that. I could slide that over and I could get it just perfect over there. You know? Wondering if I should do it right there or if I should slide it over. I think I might slide it over just a little. I don't know. I mean, I could have it right there, or I could move it over like that, and I can move the bracket on the back side of the TV where instead of being here, I can just slide it over a little bit that way, you know? And then that should be fine, because on the TV, the back side I got 20 inches, so if I slide that over, or 20 and a half, the edge of the TV is going to be over there, and then it's going to stick way over off of that side. That'll be just beautiful.